topic number 6. We are going to be discussing the topic on performance appraisal. And all you need to know about performance appraisal is simply about evaluation of employees. And we are saying the author Edwin Filippo defined appraisal as a systematic, periodic, and impartial rating on an employee's performance in matters pertaining to his present job and to his potentialities for a better job. So the basic understanding simply is appraisal is all about evaluation of employees. Now, what is the purpose of performance appraisal? The first one is to assist managers to observe their subordinates more closely. That is the first one. The second one is that it motivates the employees by providing feedback on performance. So once we evaluate, we are supposed to give feedback so that employees know exactly how they are performing. Number 3 is that it helps to achieve better results and improved work performance. The fourth one is that it helps to identify the developmental needs, which can be used for selection, training, and the development of staff. So through evaluation, we can be able to understand the training needs that are required or the areas of improvement in terms of training. The other one is that it provides information for human resource planning by identifying individual contributors and managers with potential for assuming additional responsibility. So through evaluation, we can know who, in case of an additional responsibility, can we consider based on the results and their efficiency in performing their work. The other one is that it provides a backup for making decisions about employee compensation. And the other one is that it helps to achieve ultimate organizational success through the realization of organizational goals and objectives effectively. Methods that we can adopt when we are carrying out performance appraisal, we have what we call the ranking method. So the evaluator will rate the employees from the highest to the lowest on some agreed criteria. So when you are doing ranking, you are talking about maybe having number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, up to maybe the last employee. Then we have what we call the grading method. The evaluator considers certain features and marks them according to a scale. These features may be dependability, self-expression, cooperativeness, leadership, and organization ability. These are in form of a scale A to E. So we can, when we are grading, we can use A. We can say A is outstanding, B is very good, C is good or average, D is fair, E is poor, and so on and so forth, depending on the grades that you think they are most appropriate for the organization. The other one is a graphic rating scale method. In this technique, the evaluator is presented with a graph and asked to rate employees on each of the listed characteristics. So we can also adopt the issues about presenting the evaluation in a graph format based on criteria that are indicated in the graph. We also have a checklist method. Of course, in a checklist method, you have already a predetermined list that you use to be able to tick against, if it's absenteeism, if it's commitment, if it's effectiveness. So if you note whatever aspect that is mentioned in the checklist is okay, then you tick. A checklist is like when you're going for shopping, you have a budget. So when you pick an item, you tick. So a checklist works similar to that. Then we have what we call descriptive essays. So the evaluator is asked to write an essay about the strong and weak points of employees' behavior. So here you describe employees' performance based on an essay. You write an essay on the same. We have common errors that we might experience in performance appraisal. We have what we call the leniency error. Now, remember we have just talked about a rating. So the evaluator can have a rating scale of 1 to 10. Then they say most candidates have scored between 1 and 2 or and 3, or they can also say most candidates have scored between 90 and 100. So when it is on the left side 1 to 3, we can call that negative leniency on the low end, or the positive leniency. Remember, we cannot have everyone on the far left side or everyone on the far right side. Yeah, so that is an error caused by the evaluator tending to give results that are leaning towards one side of the rating scale. Then we have the halo effect. It occurs when the evaluator allows his or assessment on one trait or a characteristic to influence the assessment of the same person on other traits or characteristics. So if you notice something that you do not like about a candidate, then the halo effect makes you to subjectively conclude the results based on that one item that you recognized. Then we also have errors caused by what we call a recency error. So recency to denote that most of the time when people are told that there is an evaluator coming tomorrow, or even in the case of our class here, there is an exam tomorrow, people tend to now read and succeed. So they are responding to the immediate need of an exam that is coming. I just saw an article of somebody who was saying they read a day before the exam and they got a first class honors. Yeah, so that is recency error. We cannot subjectively judge that person because of those particular results. And the other one is bias and prejudice, increasing or reducing the rating scale. Some raters may exercise bias towards women. So you may have a rater who doesn't like women, for example. So they exercise bias around that area. So wherever they find women, then they provide the wrong ratings for the women. The other one is errors of variable standards. Problems with the evaluation standards arise because of the perception difference in the meaning of evaluative words. So what would be adequate and satisfactory to you may not be the same to another evaluator. So you can give adequate, satisfactory, but for them when they come, they can even say not satisfactory. Those are errors of variable standards. And lastly is the similarity error. This is a bias in favor of those individuals who the rater perceived to have or perceives to have a personal characteristic similar to his or her own bias against those the rater perceives to be different. So sometimes if the rater finds there's something they don't like and they see it in you, they conclude that in terms of performance, that particular aspect has affected your performance. Then we have the benefits of performance appraisal. Number one, it creates career growth. So of course, when you are giving feedback, you are able to enable employees know what they are doing, the areas they can be improving in terms of career growth. Maybe there are training gaps that they need. You know how to provide that. Increases employee engagement. So we are saying regularly involving employees in the performance review processes can lead to a more engaging and a desire to stay with the company for a long term. And we're also saying number C helps in determining training or the training needs. Performance appraisals allows companies to see which employees need more training and determine what areas to provide training in. Another benefit clarifies expectations. During performance appraisals, managers can reiterate their expectations for employees. So evaluations will enable a manager to allow you to improve on particular areas by telling you, this is what I expect, this is the area that you can improve, simply because they have been able to conduct evaluation, and they can now better understand you. The other one is allows for conversation. Performance appraisals create a structured set time for managers to discuss how each employee is going to doing overall, and allows for a flow of discussion with no distraction. So we can have conversations around employee performance, what areas that the organization is suggesting that you improve as an employee, and what areas the organization thinks you are doing okay. All those feedbacks are quite important. And then helps determining training. We have discussed that. Limitations of performance appraisal. The first one is the superior may feel subordinates appraisal is not rewarding to him. So those are some of the challenges of appraisal now. The second one is too many objectives of the appraisal may create confusion. So sometimes we want to conduct appraisal, but we are so many things that we want to achieve at once, which may not be possible. The other one is a considerable time gap exists between two appraisal programs. The other one is poor communication keeps the employees in the dark about what is expected of them. So what is to be emphasized on point number D, appraisal without feedback is not right to do it. So like we are saying in number E, feedback on appraisal may so the importance of feedback is very important, so that we avoid poor communication. The other one is feedback on appraisal may become increasingly unpleasant for both employees and supervisors, especially when it's negative, when everything is turning out that you are not doing okay, your performance is poor. That will of course not please any employee in whatever organization, and they feel maybe there is some bias that has been exercised, maybe these guys don't dislike me. Those are kind of communications that would come with unpleasant feedback. And we're also saying on F, some supervisors may be willing to educate employees as to how to improve their performance and their productivity. So some supervisors just don't like a number of employees. So when the feedback is negative, they are not doing anything to assist you to improve. They are looking at a situation where you might even lose your job. They are not willing to help you maybe to work on a number of areas. And lastly, there may be a difference of opinion between supervisors and subordinates regarding the definition of performance. We have talked about that in terms of the errors of variable standard. What I may deem as excellent, if it's an exam that I'm marking for a student, may not be an excellent for another person. And that, of course, will lead to performance appraisal having challenges and limitations. So that brings us to the end of our topic number 6 on performance appraisal. I would encourage you to read these topics extensively, even on your own, because areas around human resource management are quite wide, and we may not be able to explore all of them. Thank you.